Welcome back to A Family Food Supply. Today we got an awesome video for you.
We're gonna talk about all the different things that you are doing wrong when it comes to buying and using a bulk food supply.
Let's get into it. Zazu's joining. Number one, you're buying way too many different types of food. Pay attention.
So what we're talking about here is the best example that I have for you is sugar. Sugar is something that if you're trying to build up a year's worth of food, you need a decent amount of it. But if you're gonna stack white sugar and brown sugar and powdered sugar and all of the sorts, you're gonna have that many different things to manage. Whereas the other option is that you just buy one thing. You buy white sugar, at which point you can make powdered sugar by blending it in a blender. You can make brown sugar by just adding some molasses and mixing that up. So you've got one item, actually you've got the molasses in there too. Another item that I think of is condiments. Rather than buying ketchup and 5 different types of barbecue sauce and 7 different types of mustard, mayo.
Making, Thousand Island.
Oh yeah, the salad dressings.
Yeah.
So I mean,
you could have 15, 20 bottles.
If you're trying to stock 20 different condiments, it gets complicated and it's a lot to keep track of and it's a lot to store. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't buy these at all. What we suggest though is that you just don't include these type of items in your bulk food supply.
Number 2, you're not buying the things you use most often.
Okay, so there are a lot of resources out there that will calculate how much food you need for your family based on ages and amount of people.
Yes, but they don't know what you like, and that's no bueno.
Yeah, I actually recommend is that you don't even look at that. When you're first getting started with building your food supply, totally ignore that. Only go for the items that you use. With this, I do want to say that there is a caveat that if you are currently using a lot of convenience foods or a lot of foods that don't necessarily store for a long time, then I would encourage you to start experimenting with using some of the food storage type items, but doing so in a way that doesn't have the pressure of, oh my goodness, I just bought a year worth of this, now I need to figure out how to use it. Talking about using like oil and vinegar to make salad dressings, using grains and sugars and such and raw ingredients instead of buying cake mixes.
Or cornbread.
Like that. Yes, and cornbread.
Grind some corn, y'all. Let's go to the food supply room. Number 3, you are not planning for and making space for the food you want to store.
I can't tell you how many times we have purchased bags and bags of grain of some sort, and they sit on the floor in a room forever. So what you need to do is you need to take into consideration how much of a given item you want to store, and you want to make sure that you have space to store it. Now, not only does that include having the buckets and Mylar bags to store it in, but that also includes making sure that you have the space. So you'll see there's a lot of empty space here. It's because we have a plan for it, we just haven't purchased the food yet.
It's also where I sleep at night. Number 4, y'all aren't making enough stuff from scratch. See the stove. She doesn't know what she's gonna say because I typically would default a lot to just going out and buying something. And I grew up eating Aunt Jemima's and other packaged goods. We didn't know how to make things from scratch. So one day, we just did. Once you learn how to make a few things from scratch, you're like, oh, that doesn't seem like it's that bad. And then guess what? You start making enough things from scratch. This kind of supports our number 1, limiting your SKUs. We started with number 1 as limit your SKUs because it really is the most important item that you're going to do in order to start buying in bulk the right way.
So essentially what's going to happen is number 1 is going to push you into this. Make more things from scratch.
Yep. See ya, number 5. Number 5, you're making restocking your working pantry a nightmare.
So when we first started buying bulk food, we did what it seems everyone else seems to do.
You grab a grain.
We bought our food in a 50-pound bag, we dumped it in a couple 5-gallon buckets, and we went down and refilled our jars as necessary.
Scoop, dump.
Messy, awful. We've got a video on that. I'll link it below. What we actually recommend is you begin with looking at your working pantry. You take a look in here, you see the size of the food items that you're storing, and then in your food supply room, you store those items in that size container. For example,
this is a 1.5 gallon jar that has white rice in it.
We store our white rice, can't quite get that accent there.
White rice.
Inside of a 1 gallon Mylar bag, so that when we need to fill this, we just run downstairs, grab a bag, dump it in.
It's amazing. Oh my goodness, it's empty.
Same goes for our beans, except for this, we store in a 1/2 gallon mason jar. When we get our 25-pound bag of beans, we dump those into 1/2 gallon Mylar bags, so that when this needs to get refilled, we just run down, grab a bag, dump it in.
And you get to have this beautifulness. Time to go mobile. Numero 6. You're trying to do too much, and therefore, splat.
One of the biggest issues with building a food supply is that it can be easily overwhelming. It can be daunting, at which point when you try to do too much at once, it leaves you in a place where you make very little to no progress. What's the word that I'm looking for? Overwhelm? But
hold on. You become overwhelmed. If that word doesn't cover it, let me know in the comments below what feeling you get when you cannot tackle
a large project. So building a food supply, especially when you're talking about trying to build up a year worth of food, it takes the financial planning, it takes the logistical planning, it takes the knowing what you're gonna store, it takes the knowing how you're gonna store it. It can quickly become too much. This is why we recommend starting with one thing. One thing can be as simple as, I'm going to get a month worth of food. One thing can be as simple as, I'm going to get a year worth of one item and work at it that way. You can work towards 3 months in a category of items. Just doing things in baby steps not only makes it mentally doable, but it also makes it a little bit more financially doable.
And fun. Nobody wants to do anything that they don't want to do. Number 7, you're not keeping a good inventory and you're always running out to the store to get what you want, to get what you need.
Or you're buying too much of something because you don't have any idea how much you have.
But here's the deal, you ready? She can help you with that. I can't see ya.
We can help you with that. Zazu laughed, that was fun. We can help you with that. We've got a food management program.
Which is awesome!
Where we help you go through and build a grocery inventory. And I'm going to go ahead and link that in the comments. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start by giving you the free grocery inventory sheet. Get started with that. It's a really fun and easy way to make grocery shopping easier. And when you do that, you'll be able to check out the food management program where we give you a grocery calculator, which also includes a food inventory tracker and so much more.
And if you don't like that idea, you don't belong here. That's it for today, boys and girls. Check out this video over here where we share a way to make restocking your working pantry easy.
There you go.
Peace out.
There you go.
Let's see that in instant replay.
Do you want to go or you want me to go now?
Go, you go.
Ketchup.
Oh, sorry. Potty break.
Sorry.
It's so dark in here without any light. Watch. Can't see me. Number 2, I don't remember. Let me see the sheet.